Hello, this Hangout on Air is live. I was just reading that message that was posted there. It said Hangouts on Air. Google Hangouts on Air is going away later this year. They had to integrate it right with YouTube and see how that went. All right, anyway, so irritating. We have this morning a Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. It's 5:37 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Daylight is coming in to play. If I wasn't doing this hangout, I'd be out there walking. It's already enough light to go walking. I have, hold on, let me jump over here. I have 100 Inver House Green Plaid. That came out before. 1961 Inver House Green Plaid hits the market. Haven't really changed the label in 58 years. It might have been slightly altered, but it hasn't really changed. I know it was sold in Japan for a while because I got an old magazine ad off the internet that said Inver's in Tokyo, but whether it got popular there, I don't know. About well, it depends. It depends. I thought it was 1968, but some will say otherwise. But whatever the case, it doesn't really matter. Some say 1964. 100 Pipers blended Scotch whiskey. It was overseas. If you go to other countries, it's called Seagram's 100 Pipers. In America, it's just sold as 100 Pipers. Heaven Hill handles it. Heaven Hill Distilling Company. But Seagram's did start it. Of course, there's no Seagram's today. The company went kaplooey in the year 2000, but the brand still exists. Coca-Cola owning the Seagram's Ginger Ale. Pernod-Ricard owning Seagram's 100 Pipers. Sazerac owning Seagram's VO and 5-star and Seagram's 83, which we don't get. Okay, so there's a Scottish flag, and I don't know what that other flag is. I can't really tell on this neck, bottleneck crest. Oops. Okay, so I think the bottle in America looks kind of shabby. If you look at the Seagram's 100 Pipers website for India, it's a lot nicer looking bottle. But whatever, I can't control that. I can only buy what we can get. It was $8.99, $8.99 for the bottle. And the Inver House Green Plaid was $11.99 for the 1,000 milliliter. So similarly priced, inexpensive blended Scotch whiskey. I think I'll be able to tell them apart. I think 100 Pipers has a richer flavor and aroma, more smokier and peatier. I think that the 100 Pipers is dull. I'll get it right. I'm telling you. I think the Inver House is sort of dull. Got a lot of it left, thankfully. Even if it's dull, it's not bad. I don't want to have a lot left. I have a good amount of about half the bottle left, 100 Pipers. So we got IH and 100. I just put 100. I don't know what it means. I'm pretty sure, right? $100 Pipers is a little bit darker. Not much. Just darker gold and lighter gold. I can't go past 6 o'clock Central Time AM because I want to watch the AM news. WDSU, Channel 6, New Orleans, the oldest television station in New Orleans. Was it 1949? All right. My father said when it came out, that station, they went and bought a television. His father bought one with a little screen. He was like 5 years old. Yeah, 5 years old. And he said they would watch it. They could pick it up. They could fool around with the antenna and barely get a snowy picture of WDSU. And they would watch it. And everybody in the neighborhood would come around and want to see it. They were fascinated by it. Well, of course, it kept growing, and then pretty soon everybody had television stations close by, and you could pick up 3 or 4 or even 5 stations. When I was growing up, we could pick up in color after 1972, mostly in color, CBS, NBC, ABC, PBS 4, and then an independent station 5. So we had 5 channels. 4 clear. The independent was a weak signal, so it's usually kind of snowy, never looked too nice. And then if you went outside and turned the antenna, the big tower antenna, then you could pick up Baton Rouge channels. Sometimes they would have a game on and turn it. My father would say, turn it, turn it. Okay, stop. It's perfect. My father said, I remember when we had the radio, before we had the TV, we would just listen to the radio. All right, well, enough of the reminiscing about stuff I wasn't even alive to experience, just stories I've heard. Early morning, a lot of people were out Friday night, living it up, so you don't get too many viewers at this early hour. But I didn't stay up late. We did a hangout for Seagram's VO, James P. Madonna of New Jersey, and myself, and then Lance DeLush was observing, drinking his Milwaukee's Best Ice. And then I said, I'm going to watch the game, and I was watching the Rangers, and I got sleepy. It was a bad game anyway. They dominated the lowly and woeful Cincinnati Reds. It was 7-1. They're playing again tonight, 6 Central, 7 Eastern. I guess I'll watch it. There's nothing else on. I don't have MLB Network. I'm not paying for that when I got at least a game every day on some channel, generally. So then in July, TBS, I think, carries Sunday afternoon games. I don't know why they wait till July. I don't know what the logic is with that, but this smells basic. It's like, you want to know what it smells like? You might say, well, I'm watching the video, ain't I? Yeah, it smells like corn grits. Go to the store, buy some Quaker grits, cook them, and you'll smell it and say, oh, yeah. Well, those would be white hominy. This smells like the golden hominy, but it's very similar to grits, corn grits. So this one, perhaps it has smoke, but it isn't really much of that. It's there, it's faint. It's just kind of like corn liquor, really. You say, wow, Scotch, corn liquor. Okay, yeah, because that's what they're using in their base grain whiskey. You might say, what about the rich single malts? Yeah, what about them? These 2 products are using very little of that. They're using some, but it's mostly just, the base stuff. You get a little taste from the single malts. The Whiskey Scout was saying he thinks that a lot of these Scottish blended Scotch whiskeys that we get low priced will probably reject single malts and reject stuff like it's just stuff that didn't match up. So a good company like Glenfiddich or whatever say, oh, well, just slide it down to the blended. He's not off track, because I was watching an interview with a brand representative or the company representative for Heaven Hill in Bardstown, Kentucky. And he was the guy, this German guy. They have a German YouTube group. way bigger than this channel. And they were saying they were doing a distillery tour, and he was saying, well, what happens if a barrel doesn't come out right? I know that you could have a bad batch or it be inferior some kind of way. And the tour guide said, yes. Then we just put it in our blended whiskeys, and he laughed out loud. Ha ha. I was thinking, I'm glad he said that on air, because I bet you that's what goes on at all these places, all these blended whiskeys, from Jim Beam, Sonny Cook, and Kessler's. Although Kessler's is pretty good. I think the only one that's probably done on purpose, like they really try to make it really nice, for America I'm talking about, would be the Seagram 7 Crown. Because it's like about $16 a bottle now these days, and it tastes like they made it on purpose. You know what I mean? Like they wanted to make it really nice. So it would, and they run ads all the time on Facebook, and they have a good website, and they're like, and Seagram's, Diageo didn't want to sell 7 Crown. When they sold off those brands to Sazerac, they said, we're not selling 7 Crown. It's one of the top 10 selling whiskeys in the United States. Might be in the top 5. And so I think they use good ingredients. It's not just throw off stuff that didn't pan out. And I'm not saying that you'll get cheap blended whiskeys that'll taste different bottle to bottle. They probably won't, because they're able to blend them to where it always tastes like T.W. Samuels, you know. But it just could be they can kind of manipulate it. They can use blending sherry to flavor it. So it could probably just go up and down to get it to that center point, whatever that tasting, what do you call that? The template. And then it'll be fine and you won't notice it. And especially it won't matter when 99% of the people buying cheap American or Scottish or Canadian or Irish blended whiskey. Irish isn't so cheap. So let's not talk about Irish. But those other three, they're mixing it with Coca-Cola or Sprite something. So they're not going to notice it anyway, even if it was dodgy or questionable bottle to bottle. So when you do these blind taste tests and all that, then you start to notice some problems. And you might say, I don't want to notice those problems. Why do you even do these? It's a good question. It's interesting in sort of a sad way, perverse way, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow, this is a big part of the industry and people buy this and you wonder why, it's not too good. But think of any consumer product. People buy a lot of stuff that's not too good and they continually buy it. And you say, well, why? Well, it's cheap. It's a trade-off. They're willing to sacrifice enjoyment and quality for price. Either they can't afford it or in probably most cases, they just don't want to pay the money. Because maybe they bought an expensive vehicle. People pay outrageous. I was reading an article the other day. Most Americans pay outrageous prices for vehicles. Like the vehicle they buy will cost as much as their yearly salary. And so they struggle to pay the notes. This is just like not cost effective way to live. So maybe they'll buy the Caliber whiskey from Walmart. Okay. I'm going to tell you which one is which right now. On one sip each. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. This is the Inver House because it's just dang dull. Doesn't taste bad. Never said it tasted bad. Doesn't taste great. I wouldn't go running out to buy it. I wouldn't go searching for it. John and Neely wanted to get it so we could examine it. And I hope he finds it and we'll examine it. But I hope he doesn't go searching for it because there's not much there. And I told him just call the Sazerac number. They'll tell you who's got it. That's usually pretty reliable for Sazerac. Now, other companies, maybe you can't trust what they're telling you. But to be on the safe side, just call the store. Well, then you can't trust them because a lot of the clerks, the person answering the phone don't even know what's on the shelf and won't bother going look. I'll run into that problem. Been in the store where they told me we don't sell that. Oh, so disappointing. Go back to the store later that day. There it is on the shelf. I'm like, wow, they don't even care. Sad. This is the 100 Pipers. I remembered from past tasting that the aroma is no kind of smoke, really. But the flavor is where it's very smoky. You could almost get the idea that it's like one of those Rach beers. You know, those beers that taste like smoked pork? This has that flavor, like a smoked meat. So maybe you see 100 Pipers as one of the hidden jewels of the cheap blended Scotch whiskey world, because it's only $8.99 a bottle, maybe $9.99 depending where you live. Or in John and Neely's case, Georgia Beer Reviews, it's no price because you can't get it, period, which I'm sorry to say is oftentimes the case. But with a whiskey sold one place or a beer not sold another place. But it has a almost like a smoked meat. You say, is it pork, chicken, or beef? I guess like a smoked pork, like tasso or something. There's some peat. So it's a much better whiskey, okay? Do you think the Clan MacGregor is better than Inver House then? Yes, I do. And I think the 100 Pipers is probably better than Clan MacGregor, if you can excuse me for saying that. I like Clan MacGregor, and I would buy it again, and I have 2 bottles, so I'm not going to need to buy it again. But I think the 100 Pipers is better. It's a little harsh in the smoke, you know what I mean? It's not like super pleasant, ultra high quality smoked pork thing. And it's kind of acrid in a way. You could probably argue it. You get a real whiskey expert on here, not me, but somebody that really knows what they're talking about, and they could probably pick it apart. You know what I mean? Just say, oh, no, let me tell you what's so wrong with this. Yeah, so these are the exact same price per ounce. These 2 liquors, whiskeys, are the exact same price per ounce. But I can't really pick this apart according to expert analysis, because I'm not an expert and I'm not really good at analyzing these. But I mean, I can see where a person could say, okay, let me show you what's wrong with it. Start to break it down. I think I would do a lot better with beer. I've had more experience with beer, so I could take a beer and say, okay, it's okay. You know, you could even say it's a B plus, 89 out of 100. But that still gives you 11 out of 100. You know what I mean? 11% leeway. And then you can say, well, you know, that's 11% deficit. And here's the problems that bring it down. You know, it's not, if it was perfect, it'd be 100, right? Do they have perfect beers? Well, in my opinion, they have beers that are beyond perfect. They're above it. They're world class. They're totally perfect, and they're even better. You say, well, that's totally, you're just being subjective. That's your opinion. There's no doubt about that. All these tastings are opinion. It's not a fact, which is funny to me that some people do beer reviews, wine reviews, liquor reviews, and they state their opinions as a fact. Instead of them saying, well, I think it's this and that, they'll say it is objectively this or that. But that's not a good review. Objective things would be like, it comes from Scotland. That's indisputable. It's 80 proof, indisputable. It's aged 3 years. Inver House, indisputable. Okay. It's owned by Sazerac. That's indisputable. But your opinion about it is subjective. Now, could there be some people that love Inver House? Oh, I bet there are. Dornex always has bottles. Always has the big plastic bottles and the liter. Somebody's buying it. You say it's probably some old 72-year-old man in Metairie, Louisiana, that goes to the store twice a week and buys bottles, or once a week with the jug bottle. Yes, that's probably true. They probably got a red nose. Probably drank far too much. Seemed to be a little pickled. But they love their Inver house. Fine. They got people who love Old Charter. They will only drink Old Charter. I saw a man in the store one day got angry that they didn't have Old Charter. You don't have Old Charter? He seemed to be getting angry, you know. They said, no. He was about 69 years old, you know, typical profile. I told him, I said in passing, I said, Walmart's got it. I said that low, you know, Walmart's got it. Oh, yeah? I said, yeah. Winn-Dixie's got it too, but Walmart's a much better price for Old Charter. Now, you might say, Old Charter, that's an inexpensive, straight bourbon whiskey. Been on the market since the 1870s. That's an old alcoholic brand. Old drunks drink that at the bar all day. Where they stay at the bar more than they're home. I know places like that. You know places like that. They live at the bar. But you know, they like it. I've never had Old Charter, but I know I can kind of grasp what the concept is, and I can kind of imagine what the taste is going to be. And I would be favorable towards it, and I would try it. I'm already predicting what I would think, you know. So I have bourbons coming up. Get ready. People, get ready, because it's coming up. So, 100 Pipers is the clear and present winner. You say you didn't even, and then there's an essay on the back. So see, all about the 100 Pipers, and it's a deluxe blended Scotch whiskey. Yeah, it really ain't, but that's what they say on the label. But you could buy the most rot gut liquor in the world, and they're going to talk about how gourmet it is on the label. You know, just how fabulous. Crystal Palace gin is the connoisseur's gin. Oh, it's so fabulous. That's why it's $4.99 a bottle, because it's fabulous. Every gas station's got it. Oh, the wonderful Crystal Palace. You say, who in a palace drinks it? Maybe the janitor? I don't know. All right. I got to go turn on the news. So I didn't even check the label. I noticed this had better be 100 Pipers after all this rant and raving. Not rant and raving, but discourse. It is. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. So would I recommend either one of these? Yes, I would. I would recommend 100 Pipers. Would I recommend Inver House? Yes, if you don't like smoky whiskeys and you want just a kind of Swedish corn whiskey that's pleasant, mild, and not in any way harsh, that you can drink and get for cheap. Hey, you know what? Why not? Inver House will work, and it's cheap. But then Winn-Dixie Scotch might do the trick, and that's $16.99 for the jug bottle. I don't know. Oh, $16.99. What am I talking about? Ha ha ha. I saw it 2 days ago for $14.99. $14.99 for the big jug bottle. So maybe that's better. Maybe that's better. Or maybe you can go, I don't know, shop around. You can get some really cheap stuff. All right, thanks for watching this video production, and off to the news. I'll be back tomorrow. I plan on it.